It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Welcome to County-Wide. I'm Paul David. Great to have you in studio today. Sherry Hanna joins us from the Prescott area. Her husband recently, John Hanna, just recently passed away from cancer. In October. And we brought her here. She did an article in the paper with the Prescott Courier about Downwinders. And then I saw that article, and then you actually, I mentioned, had called me just a couple days after I'd seen that. I thought, you know, this would make an interesting County-Wide because I've heard about Downwinders, but I've never talked about Downwinders. I don't think I've ever done a story on Downwinders either. So thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having me on your show.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for being in here. Let's get started. What is Downwinders? Let's start with that and let everybody know what it is.
Okay. Back in 1945 to 1962, the United States government did above ground and below ground nuclear testing in the Nevada desert.
Okay.
And the Downwinders is the wind carried the fallout, and the government determined the path that it went. And in those areas that the Downwinders affected people that were living in that area during those times. Right. And so in 1962, they actually did for a few months severe testing, so people who lived in the affected areas for more than 2 years during those times, those years.
45 to 62?
1945 to 1962.
Okay.
Were exposed either from the wind, or if you worked in the uranium mines, or at the on-site testing of the.
That's pretty scary, because I was looking this up before you got here this morning, and it was talking about how the counties in Arizona affected by this, and I had no idea: Apache, Coconino, Gila, Navajo, Yavapai counties. And we're talking about this stuff traveled hundreds of miles to get here.
Yes.
But it did get here.
It did.
Yeah. So this Downwinders has actually affected your family dramatically.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, my father, Ken Wayman, passed away from esophageal cancer, which was one of the Downwinders, and cancers that fall under the Downwinders program. Okay. And so we didn't realize that till after he had passed away. My sister, Anna Wayman Trujillo, found the program, did all the research on it, and brought it to the family's attention. And then,
do you know what made her, what kind of sparked her to look into it?
I think she was just through her job. She was just
more aware of it than the rest of us would be.
Okay. And so she brought it to our attention, and she was the one that went to Social Security. You have to provide certain documents to prove that, the person affected was living in the affected areas during that time, and at least the minimum of 2 years. And then she got filed on the program, and it was quite lengthy process back then. Now it's a lot quicker. It goes a lot quicker because of the internet and everything. You have more access to information, but. We did file on it, and once you file, it goes to the Department of Justice, and they have a group of people that overlook the applications. They all certify that the information submitted is correct and that you qualify. And then the survivors, you have to list the survivors, and then they are issued a check. The total amount is $50,000, and that is split up between the survivors.
And that's the most government's paying out for the Downwinders.
If you're a Downwinder now, if you are the uranium miners, the millers, and the ore transportators, they get $100,000.
Okay. So if you had like hands-on with this stuff,
yes, that's right. And if you are on-site participants at the actual sites, you get $75,000. And then if you were in the path of the fallout, and you can prove that, you $50,000.
I wonder how they determined that.
I have no idea.
Yeah. I wonder, though, how they did manage to do that. Well, okay, so then your father, he dies of esophageal cancer. But then your husband.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
He was diagnosed in 2012 of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and being familiar with the cancers, that rang a bell right away. And so. Familiar
with the 19 that the government has listed as possibilities of this. Okay.
And so. We did file on that. We did get the $50,000 And then we pretty much gave it all back. You know, when you are fighting cancer, a lot of treatments, a lot of out-of-pocket expenses, obviously. So, I mean, it does help, but it's not like you get this $50,000 windfall that, you know, you just, when you're fighting cancer, it goes right back to the treatment.
Okay, so it's almost like a treatment payment, not more or less, we're sorry for your loss type of payment. It's, here's some money to treat the cancer that we gave you.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. How did you come to find out that your husband had been diagnosed?
Well, he just hadn't been feeling well, and we went to the doctor and started the tests, and they determined that it was cancer. And so.
And obviously he lived here between 1945 and 1962.
Yes, actually, yes, he did in Prescott. He moved to Prescott in 1956. And so, and then he was raised there, and so he did qualify for being there during those times.
And he has passed?
Yes, he has.
Okay.
Yes, he has.
And you're here for what reason today?
My goal is just to try to get the word out to people. I'm just surprised when John passed away and they learned that it was a Downwinders, they didn't know what it was. And people that we grew up with that were eligible, I mean, they were in the affected areas, had never heard of the Downwinders before either. So that's just my goal, to get the word out, because now they have the government has established the exposure, screening, and education program. And it's the health clinic in Flagstaff, and if you were raised in the downwinder areas, you can go and have a yearly examination, and they test for, they do a chest x-ray, blood work that they test for the cancer markers, and then they go over a whole form that you meet with, it's a physician's assistant, fills out the form, goes over everything. And so you're in the system as being a downwinder, basically, that you grew up or were exposed during those times. So, and you can go every year. It's totally free. The government, you know, provides it for people that were in the affected areas. And so, and it's not 100% foolproof, but it does. Obviously, you have to listen to your body when you don't feel well. You go find out what's, you know, going on. But it is a cancer screening program to help, you know, people that were. In
your research on this, did you know, is it this fallout? Is it something that's in the soil? Is it possibly in the water, or was your husband and your dad just out walking around and just happened to breathe it in? Do we know that sort of thing with your research that you've done? I have never read anything indicating it was in the soil or water. You know, mostly it was just in the air from the fallout. It was just passing by, and the winds carried the fallout, and the government determined the path of it, I guess, because they've determined, you know, the areas that are covered. I'm sure they use the Weather Service for that, and possibly the air trends and stuff that went by. Let's take a little break, okay? Sherry Hanna is in studio today. We're talking about downwinders, something I didn't know too much about, and I'm guessing you might not have either. So stick around. Countywide, we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
I'm one unlucky guy. The chance of being involved in a robbery is 1 in 757. The chances of being struck by lightning. 1 in 750,000.
Please fasten your seatbelts for unexpected turbulence.
The chances of being a victim in an airline crash? 1 in 29 million. Hey, could I get some peanuts? The chances of being involved in a car crash are far greater than lightning strikes and plane crashes. And if you are texting while driving, your risk of crash increases 23 times. Now, I may be an unlucky guy, but I don't have to be part of that statistic, and neither do you. Drive responsibly.
There's no place like home.
Getting home safely is just a click away. But making sure your child is in the right seat is just one of the steps down the road to safer travels.
I don't know how it works.
Find the right seat for your little one's age and size.
We thought you told us.
There's no better way to get home safely. Know for sure that your child is in the right seat. Get all the facts at safercar.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Sherry Hanna in studio today. We're talking about downwinders. Both her father and husband have been affected by downwinders and actually lost their lives due to it. Downwinders, a definition that I found on Wiki, refers to individuals in communities who are exposed to radioactive contamination or nuclear fallout from atmospheric or underground nuclear weapons testing and nuclear accidents. And that's how they label it. Now, before we started the show, we were talking a little bit about there's 19 forms of cancer that they've linked to downwinders. Do you want to go ahead and give those to us? So
sure.
This will give a little information if anyone's dealing with this, maybe, and if they were there, but they have had to lived in the area. Let me ask you this before we get into the cancers. You mentioned that they talk about the path that this radiation took, this nuclear radiation took, between 1945 and 1962. It seems like a long time to have that trail. Is it all of Yavapai County? Or just, do you know what I'm saying? Like, the wind in Prescott Valley blows harder than it does in Cottonwood. Same thing in Flagstaff. You get much stronger winds up in Flagstaff than you do down in Cottonwood. Do we know?
It is all of Yavapai.
All of Yavapai County. It is. Okay. So when I mention Yavapai County, it's all of Yavapai County.
Yes.
And then in the Nevada, we should probably mention this too: Eureka, Lander, Lincoln, Nye, White Pine, or the northern portion of Clark. And just in case folks have moved here from these areas, Utah, Beaver, Garfield, Iron Cane, Millard, Paiute, San Juan, Sevier, Washington, or Wayne. It's a huge area.
It is.
And then you have a map that you brought that kind of shows all the different states that were affected by this as well. Pretty amazing.
Well, to date, they said the U.S. government has paid over $1.8 billion in compensation to people affected from the downwinders.
Let's list the cancers, just in case someone's listening out there and says, oh my gosh, I was here at that point in time.
Yes. Leukemia, but not chronic lymphocytic leukemia, multiple myeloma, primary cancer of the larynx, lymphoma, primary cancer of the small intestine, primary cancer of the salivary gland, primary cancer of the brain, primary cancer of the stomach, primary cancer of the urinary bladder, primary cancer of the colon, primary cancer of the thyroid, primary cancer of the pancreas, primary cancer of the female breast, primary cancer of the male breast, primary cancer of the esophagus, primary cancer of the bile ducts, primary cancer of the liver, except if cirrhosis or hepatitis B is indicated, primary cancer of the gallbladder, primary cancer of the lung, and primary cancer of the ovary.
Wow.
It covers a lot.
Yeah, it does cover a lot. You're a downwinder.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so tell us what that's like, living with that one. Your father and your husband, and now you as well. How long have you known that you're a downwinder?
Well, ever since my father we learned about my father being a downwinder because we grew up in Arizona and grew up in the Winslow, Flagstaff, and Prescott area, which all of northern Arizona is included in the downwinders. So I realized that, and
what's it like for you?
It's very worrisome, obviously. You know that you could potentially get cancer from growing up in the area, and through no fault of your own, you just were living here during those times when all this testing was going on. So
you had no idea the testing was going on. You don't know what's going on. You were just a kid.
Yes, that's right. I don't think a lot of people knew what was going on. You know, they were testing out in the desert, and so. It is very troublesome, but all you can do is the government has established a program where you can be checked every year. In Flagstaff.
Tell us about that. How does that work out every year? Give me I'm trying to get a picture of your life dealing with the downwinders. So what does it mean to you? You've already had a whole lot of tragedy because of it, but now you're still
Still dealing with it.
Dealing with it.
Yes. So the government has established the exposure screening and education program, and there's a health clinic in Flagstaff where people that are classified as downwinders can go for a free checkup every year, and they do a chest x-ray, blood work, they test for cancer markers in the blood work, and basically it's not foolproof, but it does give you a little step ahead to go and be tested every year, and it's totally free. The government provides it for the people that were in the affected areas. So, and you just, hope it doesn't ever turn up. But early detection, I think, is the best thing if you have any indication. And I think that's what this program is for.
Now, anybody that lived in Yavapai County between 1945 and 1962, they are eligible outright to go have this testing? To go have the testing, yes. Really? Okay.
You have to have lived a minimum of 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So a minimum of 2 years, and then...
Do we know why? Why is it 2 years?
I don't know that. I don't know.
The exposure limitation or
Probably.
something, 2 years, something like that? Huh.
They've just determined that's one of the regulations.
Now, when Downwinders comes up, did the government seek you out and say, hey, this is what's going on? When your father was diagnosed, say, did they come out and say, hey, this could be a result of this, or how did that all work out?
No, it was just finding out about the program and reading the qualifications, and then determining that my dad qualified for it.
How did you find out about the program?
My sister.
Was Anna found out way back when
Yes,
it was
she
your
did.
dad? Okay. Okay.
She found out about it and researched the program, and then brought it to our attention.
So do you do the testing every year?
Yes, I do.
Okay. How long does it take?
It takes about an hour.
Okay.
And it does give you some peace of mind, but everybody should listen to their body, and when things aren't going right, and you should get in and be checked and follow up on anything.
How long do you wait for the results of your test?
You get them back within a week.
Okay.
They notify you by mail that your chest x-ray was clear, your blood work, nothing showed up. You also do a urine sample and a stool sample, and they check that too, and they tell you if anything shows up, then they refer you to go to your doctor and follow up. They really don't do any follow-up after that.
Is this a special clinic just for Downwinders?
No, it's just a health clinic in Flagstaff, and but they have a section where people can have the forms that you fill out, and they go over a form with you and ask you all kinds of questions, and they get that in the record so that you are in the system as a downwinder.
Do we know how many there are?
I do not know that.
You don't know how many Downwinders there are right now?
No, I do not.
Imagine quite a few.
I would think so.
Yeah, I would think so too. All right, let's take our second break, okay?
Okay.
Sherry Hanna in studio today. We're talking about Downwinders. If you lived in Yavapai County between 1945 and 1962, it'd be a good thing to probably go get checked out. I'm Paul David. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
out there. There's no telling what you'll find.
I see it, I see it! Oh, look at you.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a couple minutes left of the program, but we've got a lot of great information for you. So get your pens, pencils, and all that good stuff ready, and we'll go ahead and give this information hopefully a couple of times here in the last segment of the program. Sherry, you came up with this card, the Downwinders information card, because you said a lot of people have been asking questions about it, and of course you can't remember all this information in your head. But I noticed Charlotte.org is on here, Charlotte Hall Museum. Tell me a little bit about that right there to begin with.
For individuals in Yavapai County that want to file on the Downwinders, Charlotte Hall has set up in their archives department where you can go, and they have all the old phone books and information where they will, if your parents, you want to prove that your parents grew up here, they will copy documents that like the phone book, and they will certify that they are true and correct documents that you can submit with everything else that you need to provide when you file a claim.
Do you have to provide a lot of stuff?
Well,
a lot of information to prove that you were a citizen?
It says that there's documents that can be used to establish precedents but are not limited to. So you can do tax records. You can actually go to the Yavapai County Recorder in Prescott, and they will provide certified tax rolls. And prove that the person was here, voted. School records, employment records, birth and marriage certificate records, the phone books, Social Security records.
The information you're looking at right now, where did you find this? Is this on the Yavapai County website?
I downloaded the application from the Yavapai County website.
Okay, so it's on the Yavapai County website. So all that is right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Charlotte.org is another place you can go for archives. You've got a couple of phone numbers here, 445-3122, extension 14. That's the archive department.
That's the archive. And they'd like for you to call and make an appointment.
Okay.
Makes sense. Because they are limited on staff. And when you do go in, it takes a little while to find the information. So if you make an appointment, then they're able to devote specific time to you to help you find the stuff.
Set some time aside to be able to go through all those documents and stuff. That makes total sense. North Country Healthcare, that's where the free screenings are done for Downwinders. That's on 2920 North 4th Street in Flagstaff. And then their number is 928-213-6100. Are there other places in the area that will do this testing for free, or is it just the one location? Do you know?
Just that one location that I know of.
Just the one has been set up. Okay, they're deemed responsible for that. The 1-800-729-RECP, what is that?
That's the Department of Justice number.
Okay.
And you can also call and get information on the Downwinders from them, and then the website that's listed there, you can also download documents.
Okay, I think if you go to justice.gov, you could probably figure out the rest, because there's a whole lot of slashes and other things on here. Or find Sherry and get a card from her. She's kind of right there for you. Okay, so good number to have handy, 1-800-729-RECP, the 4 letters there. Charlotte.org, 445-3122 is the Charlotte number, extension 14, to kind of set up an appointment to go in there and look at the archives. And then North Country Healthcare, 213-6100, northcountryhealthcare.org. I imagine before any of this, I guess to get started out, do we have to be diagnosed? I mean,
no, you don't have to be diagnosed.
You don't. This is preventative, is what we're talking about here right now.
Preventative screening, and the government established that for people that were in the affected areas can go and be screened every year.
Well, Sherry, thank you so much for coming and telling your story.
Well, thank you for having me.
I appreciate your time. That's Sherry Hanna. I'm Paul David. That's today's Countywide. We will talk to you again next time.